welcome in this new weekly vlog. So I'm sharing here what I've been working on in July. I have started to work on a series inspired by Cinderella, so I have already one finished, I have others coming. You're going to see a bit them in progress. I have the Cinderella first on her pumpkin and on her slipper. There will be another one with her ball gown sitting on her little carriage, and there is also a mouse sitting in a slipper. There will be another mouse, and I was thinking also of doing a bigger pumpkin carriage and the fairy godmother. So this one is already arrived in my shop on Monday evening, and I also have others coming. So you're going to see on my blog, they are going to appear little by little, and you're going to see them also in the shop in case you are interested. So I'm so happy because we are back to a more normal temperature in Europe. I think we had such a crazy heat wave, another one last week, and people in Germany, Netherlands, Belgium had just unbelievable temperatures. I think in Paris they had the highest temperature ever. Here it was pretty much the same than for the other heat wave. I had a friend of mine who had never less than 32 degrees Celsius in her house, living just next to Lyon. She had that even at night. So it's really warm when you have this temperature. As I mentioned in my other vlog, we don't have air conditioning here, so you have to do with what you have. Some people use fans, some people try to have some wet fan to try to make all that more bearable. So I'm really happy we are back to really cool temperatures, really nice, just the perfect weather. I hope it's going to stay like that, and it's almost like the end of summer light. It's very funny with this very wet, slightly wet and cold morning that I absolutely adore. So you're going to see a bit all that, what I've been working on. I will also mention a few things about the controversy about the slipper. There is a controversy in French with the slipper because it was spelled in a different way. The material of the slipper, which is verre in French, and it's glass in English. You will see some people thought it was not glass at all after all, because there was another word which could sound exactly the same but spelled another way. So yeah, I'm going just to share a bit more about that because it's quite funny. This morning I'm going to continue to work on my little Cinderella, one of the two Cinderellas I'm doing. She's not finished at all. I'm going to continue her hair. Her face is finished, but I need to continue to work on her hair, on her costume. And this one is going to be the Cinderella dressed in with wax, so with not very pretty clothes. They are going to be pretty, but she's going to have an apron or that, and there will be another Cinderella who will have her beautiful clothes. I have finished these shoes 2 or 3 days ago completely, and I made another bigger one for my mouse, which I need to finish. And he has a clock which he's going to have a watch in between his fingers, so his shoe is not totally finished. I still have few things, details. And one of the music I'm listening to when I'm not listening to radio programs working on this series is, of course, Cendrillon, so Cinderella by Massenet, Jules Massenet, who is a French composer from actually who was born in here in my city, in Saint Etienne. It's just a masterpiece. It's so pretty, and it's very much like some of the first Disney, the soundtracks, the composers of the first soundtracks of Disney, they knew the classics, and they probably have heard this one. I think they are reminders. When you listen to the opera, you feel you are in a Disney film a bit. And of course, he was born much earlier, much before Disney and the Disney composers, but it just reminds you a bit of that. So it's really magical, really pretty. Just perfect to listen to while I'm working on Cinderella. So as I mentioned, there is a controversy about the material of the slipper. Charles Perrault is the first person, the first writer who put into paper the story of Cinderella, which was in just like all the classic fairy tales. They were already arriving during the medieval era. There were a lot of variations of them, but Charles Perrault in 1698 is just the first who really wrote the final version that we know today. Really much earlier, before Grimm, before the version you know in the English-speaking countries. And even I often mention Madame d'Aulnoy. She also had her own versions, which was Finette Cendron, Princess Carpillon. She also used the pumpkin carriage in another story. She used the slipper. She used all the ingredients of Cinderella, but she spread them in her different stories. So she doesn't exactly have the same story than Cinderella. So Cinderella, or the glass slipper, this is the title. It was really funny because in the 17th century he wrote in French La pantoufle de verre. First, it's funny that it's a pantoufle. A pantoufle is a shoe for home. It's not something you're supposed to have outside, even in the 17th century. And I think that's just the funny thing. You could have another sort of shoe, but it would have been what we call mule in the 17th century. They could often have that in their feet, the ladies, the aristocrats and all that. But it was not mentioned as a pantoufle. A pantoufle is really something for home. And the title is glass, a pantoufle de verre. And verre, so glass, the controversy was with the material, because later in the 19th century, some writers just thought there was a mistake. It couldn't be glass, they misspelled the word, and it would have been verre, V-A-I-R, V-A-I-R, which means a sort of furry, something that comes from an animal, and sort of furry slipper. They thought it wasn't possible that it would be made out of glass. It was just a mistake, and actually no, the real story was written with glass, with verre, V-E-R-R-E, which means glass, and Perrault, who after all was part of l'Académie Française, which is just this big institution of all the bright and most smart and intelligent people of the country. He was part of that, and he was an extremely smart and educated person, so he wouldn't have made a mistake. Well, it sounds really crazy that he could have misspelled the words, but there was a controversy even today which lasted for centuries about is it in glass or is it not in glass. So I think it's just funny because after all there are other fairy tales which included some glass objects. So it was not that crazy after all that he uses a glass slipper in the story. What is more funny, I think, is that it's a pantoufle, because there is no really reason for that. Why Cinderella with her beautiful dress would have this sort of shoe? That's really funny, I think. Another thing which I really like to see and to read in the original text, whether you go to the original French version, the English version, usually if it comes from Charles Perrault, will use the same words, the same vocabulary, which is totally related to the 17th century, and I adore these details. It's all the vocabulary which not be understood really today, like for example, you have ma garniture d'Angleterre, which is the sort of lace she should have, which came from England. You have even some really verbs and words we couldn't understand if they were not. Here we also have some little details where they explain the words. So for example, you have ma barrière de diamant, which is sort of a sort of diamond band. She could have maybe, I don't know if it's a sort of waistband, probably a waistband. Here, Cendrillon, she has a lot of very specific things to do for the clothes of her sisters. She has to gaudronner leur manchette, so she has, I don't know, probably to put a certain shape for them en pesée. That's the other word. It's so funny because you see the verb, which is complicated, and the explanation they give, which the explanation comes from the late 19th century, the book is from the late 19th, is just as complicated, so you don't really know more. En pesée or gaudronner leur manchette. Yes, it's just really nice to see all these details. When you like costumes, history of fashion, you can really have a lot of enjoyments when you read the original text. So I like to read that and like to see all these details. Though Charles Perrault doesn't put so much details and effort in that than Madame d'Aulnoy, who takes more time because she's a lady to describe all these things. So my Cinderella on her pumpkin and on her slipper, magical slipper, is finished. She has a little tool in her hands, which is the thing you use when you want to have a brighter fire. I don't know even the word in English, actually. I don't know the word in French and I don't know the word in English for that. So she has this thing because she's Cinderella. She's supposed to spend most of her time near the fire. So that's my Cinderella, the one with the rags. As you can see, she doesn't have very pretty clothes. And there will be another Cinderella with her nice clothes on the pumpkin, on the little pumpkin carriage. The fairy godmother is not finished, and the mouse in the shoe in the other slipper actually is not finished either. You're going to see them on the blog. I will also show them on the next blog, but they're going to arrive on Etsy as they are finished actually. So you will see that both on the blog and on the social media if you want to see when they are arriving. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. I will come back very soon with another vlog showing you the other characters in progress and finished. This one was with the first Cinderella. I will have a Cinderella with her ball gown, a bit different, probably with the same scale. I don't want to work on a too big scale for this series. And I will have other things, so you're going to see that soon. I will also have coming very soon, don't know when, but at the beginning of August, a video about my clothes actually, because I have pretty much under each video questions about my clothes, comments about my clothes and all that, and I thought I would do quite a fun video about it, so you're going to see that. Just this way I could redirect people towards this video when they ask me questions about that. So this video is coming. I know not everybody will be interested in that, and it's fine, but those who are, they will have the video, so it's going to come in a few days. My Cinderella had been added to my Etsy shop. She already found a home, but I will have other characters coming inspired by this fairy tale. So you're going to see that both on my blog, on social media, all that. If you're interested, you will see them appear in the shop as well. Thank you very much for watching this video. You can ask me your questions and write your comments just under it. I will see you very soon. You can subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss the next video, including my club video. And you can give a thumbs up if you liked Cinderella. Thank you, and I will see you soon.